What's up there, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Go with the Camera 23 back in the Blu-ray corner with this week's What I've Watched video. We'll be talking about the DVDs and Blu-rays that I've watched for the past 2 weeks or so. Now, not every single thing I've watched will be in this update, because to be perfectly honest, I've forgotten what I have watched. It's more than 2 weeks really, maybe like two and a half, 3 weeks really. But this is the stuff that I have watched, that I've remembered I've watched, so yeah, let's delve right into it. So yeah, the first thing, these aren't any kind of order, by the way. I thought I'd do kind of DVDs first, get those out of the way, and then we can talk about the Blu-rays. So the first thing I watched last week sometime is a new release from last week named Second Coming, which is basically a kind of London-based kind of kitchen sink drama about this woman who becomes pregnant by, well, nobody knows who she gets pregnant by, because she hasn't had relations with her husband for quite a while, but she knows she hasn't slept with anyone else either. And I will say I wasn't too pleased with this. I mean, it was okay. It was quite boring at times. The first like 10-20 minutes I was really struggling to kind of figure out what people were saying, because they were mumbled quite a lot with very kind of thick London accents. Idris Elba, really, really good. Nadine Marshall, really, really good. That's the only thing I kind of recommend about this film. The acting is very good. The story's quite bland. Nothing really happens. And I'm a biggish fan of films where kind of not much happens, but more of kind of a character study. This one is a good one, but it's not one I'd ever watch again, to be quite honest. I mainly picked it up because A, it was cheap, and B, Mark Kermode championed this film quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to give it a go. Wasn't too pleased with it really, like I've said. There's not much to recommend, to be quite honest, apart from the acting. So yeah, it was okay. So that's Second Coming. The next DVD I watched, again, these aren't in any kind of order, is the Partridge Pilgrimage, the Alan Partridge specials, which were two kind of spin-off specials starring Alan Partridge. The first being Welcome to the Places of My Life, which is basically Steve Coogan as Alan Partridge, kind of giving a tour of different kind of places in Norwich that have kind of like affected him in different ways during his life, like Norwich Town Hall, like the leisure centre he goes to. But yeah, it's really funny. Alan Partridge is my favourite comedy character of all time. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I absolutely just burst out laughing at every single thing this guy says. It's one of those things where they filmed it, but they haven't filmed it very well, so there's like people walking in shots, there's like mistakes left in and stuff like that, which I really think is funny. Like I say, it is an acquired taste, but I absolutely love it. It's hilarious. And the second special is like a spoof kind of book-based talk show where of course it's kind of coincided with the release of the autobiography, Alan Partridge's autobiography. And the second one is it's like him being interviewed about his book, and like in front of a studio audience. Again, it's not as good as the first one, but I do still enjoy it. There's a really funny bit with this guy who just won't shut up, and there's a bit with this with some glasses as well, which I thought was really, really funny. But yeah, these were shown a couple of years ago now. It was when Mid Morning Matters was shown, kind of the kind of 10-15 minute little things were kind of edited into a series. And this was kind of like the first one was shown like the first week, and the second one was shown in the second week. But yeah, absolutely love it. It's Alan Partridge at his absolute best. I know was it Rob and Neil Gibbons, who kind of are newly kind of on the Alan Partridge writing staff. They also co-wrote the movie as well. So yeah, really, really funny, kind of off-the-wall kind of humour, which I'm a massive fan of. I mean, it's Alan Partridge. He's my favourite comedy character of all time. You cannot go wrong, in my opinion. So that is the Partridge Pilgrimage and the Alan Partridge special, which I've seen quite a few. I've actually watched Welcome to the Places of My Life about 4 times since I actually watched it first. And the last DVD I watched was a little bit of crud on the front there. It is the complete series 1 and 2 of Rock Profile, which is absolutely brilliant. It's basically Matt Lucas, David Walliams, like years before they did Little Britain, years before like Shooting Stars and stuff like that, or maybe about the same time actually. I think one was like 99, series 1 was like 99, and series 2 was like 2001, 2002 I think. I also did like a a kind of a comedy special as well, which is actually included on this DVD. Had this for years. It's just one of those shows that I can just. It's like it used because it was on like an old channel called UK Play. Basically, they showed it on that, and kind of each episode kind of stars Lucas and Williams as a different type. Like they got like one episode is them as the Beatles, one is kind of Bucks Fizz, one is my favourite being Gary Barlow and Howard Donald, and it's kind of a spoof kind of like interview show. They kind of play different like characters, different bands and stuff like that. But it's like again, kind of like Alan Partridge, kind of like an off-the-wall humour. If you're a fan of Lucas and Williams, you've probably seen it before. But if you haven't, definitely give it a go. It's very, very funny. It's I don't know. It's kind of, it's not like to be taken seriously, but it's also kind of done in a straight way where you're meant to it's not kind of over the top. It's very very well, not stylized, very well realised, and it's just really, really funny seeing these bands kind of being sent up, and it's like kind of like the one with Oasis, like Liam Gallagher swears, or sorry, no, Noel Gallagher like swears all the time. They have to like beep it out and stuff, and it's just really, really funny. And but yeah, absolutely hilarious. Also, when they were shown on TV, they did have kind of like different videos for the different bands were kind of interspersed with the rock facts and stuff. Obviously, they couldn't kind of clear the stuff, so they've just kind of edited out the music videos and just put the kind of the wraparound stuff on, which is fine by me, because that's really what you're buying it for or watching it for. And also all the rock facts that were in kind of shown with the videos are on this as a kind of like a text file, so it's not too bad. But yeah, like I had it for ages, but I always kind of revisit it when I just want a really good laugh, and yeah, really enjoy it. So that is Rock Profile Series 1 and 2. Well, it's not too long either, so you can watch it in like in a few hours. So yeah, let's get on with the Blu-rays. Again, these are in any kind of order. We'll get straight onto it. For the first thing I watched, the first thing I will show that I have watched, that I watched last week anyway, is a Blu-ray I got this week as well. It is Anthropophagus, the Beast, or well, that's one of its many titles. Savage Island, like Zombie 7. There's a title Zombie 7 for some reason, and basically, this is one of the notorious video nasties of the kind of 70s and 80s, and it basically has these few tourists who get stranded on this island that are stalked by a kind of cannibalistic killer. And what I do like about this film is the fact that it's not kind of a straight down the line kind of cannibal film. Like there's a twist in it where it's like, I'm not gonna kind of say what the twist is, but it's like you think like the killer is something, but it's actually something else. But yeah, it contains the obviously the very well-known couple of scenes. I'm not going to spoil in this, but the that first scene is, oof. I mean, even to me, you've seen like really like weird stuff like uncut version of Serbian film, kind of Human Centipede and stuff. That kind of scene really kind of fucked me up, really. But yeah, really, it was kind of boring at times. I mean, even at like an hour and 27 minutes, it kind of dragged a little bit. There just wasn't enough kind of killing scenes in it, I didn't think, which is what you're really watching these horror films for, is kind of like the killings and stuff. But it did have a decent story. The acting was pretty good. Obviously, kind of the overdubbing wasn't done very well, and so it's like hearing or at least in the English, in the Italian one, you kind of hearing the Italian, but it's like not moving. It's like not. Like the lips are moving to kind of different words and stuff like that, which is really kind of distracting at times, but it's not too bad. The makeup and gore effects in this were really good though for the time. This was 70 something, I think. It does actually, it says on here, doesn't it? It's 1980. Sorry, but this is the 88 film exclusive edition with the slipcover and stuff. But what you're getting for the film, really. But yeah, quite well made. Like I said, it was a bit boring. I did kind of, we didn't nod off, but I did kind of like get distracted doing other things at some points during it. But when kind of the cool stuff started, I kind of well, when the kind of the cool stuff started, I did kind of pay attention, which is again mainly why I watched it, to get to watch the killings and stuff. But yeah, pretty good. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. If you're just a fan of kind of horror films, like old like 80s and 70s and 80s horror films, I say give it a go. Don't pay 23 quid for it. I will say that it's definitely not worth that. I paid £17.50 and I still feel a little bit cheated. But yeah, it's a decent film, but nothing that's kind of that I would recommend really to kind of even at least kind of the casual horror film goer. I'd say maybe make some kind of rent it or borrow it off somebody, maybe to kind of watch it yourself. But it was okay, nothing too special, but it was quite decent. So that's Anthropophagus. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. So yeah, the next thing I watched is possibly one of my favourite films of the year. It's on the kind of the reserve list for now, but it is The Voices, starring Ryan Reynolds, Anna Kendrick, Jackie Weaver and Gemma Arterton. And it basically stars Ryan Reynolds as this schizophrenic guy who works in this made-up town of Milton. And basically he is he is a schizophrenic who works at this bathtub factory. And he kind of, I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but basically his cat and dog talk to him, and basically they're the voices in his head, and he he's stopped taking kind of the medication he needs to basically, he's in his own kind of like alternate reality really, and kind of the actual reality is very, very different. Again, I'm not going to give too much away. Just go into it blind. You will definitely, the better way to go into it. Really like it. It was last year at I think it was TIFF or Cannes Film Festival, I think it was. It was first seen, but it was released kind of theatrically in the UK this year. This is the Steelbook edition, which is actually quite nice. So I'm not going to give a showing inside will give away a bit of a spoiler. But yeah, you probably heard it anyway. You've probably at least seen the trailer, and kind of quite a lot of it is spoiled in the trailer, which is not that good. But there you go. That's how trailers are nowadays, which is very disappointing. But there you go. But yeah, really like it. By far, definitely Ryan Reynolds' best performance. Absolutely, he really convinced me as this very, very disturbed guy, schizophrenic. But yeah, he really played very, very well. The supporting cast was very, very good as well. With the lovely Anna Kendrick being a highlight for me. But yeah, again, give it a go. Go into it blind, not knowing too much about it. Again, if you've seen the trailer, you'll kind of know most of it anyway. But yeah, really, really good. I love Reynolds in this. I'm kind of pretty much I don't really. What's the word? Oh, stupid. Anyway. But I don't really like dislike him, but I don't really like him that much either. I'm quite ambivalent towards him really. He is who he is really. I don't kind of dislike the guy for no reason. But yeah, really, really fun movie. It's very, very dark, jet black comedy. If you're a fan of those kind of films, again, you've probably seen it already, but if you haven't, definitely give it a go. Highly recommend it. Really, really liked it. Watched it at the cinema, loved it. Watched it on Blu-ray, liked it. Not even more, but liked it about the same amount. But yeah, really, really funny. Like I say, obviously, it's kind of meant to be funny, but it's not at the same time. I say very, very dark comedy. But if you're a fan of that kind of film, definitely give it a go. So that is The Voices. Excuse me. And the next thing that I watched, I think it was last week, maybe last Wednesday, Thursday, is one of the best British films ever made, bar none, is Trainspotting, starring great cast: Hugh McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Robert Carlyle, Johnny Miller. Who else? Johnny Miller, or Johnny Lee Miller, sorry. Kevin McKidd, like I said, Robert Carlyle, and obviously, of course, Kelly MacDonald's first film role, and you may know her from such films as No Country for Old Men, and shows such as Boardwalk Empire. So forged quite a good career in the US, very well deserved. She's a very good actress. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic film. Basically follows a group of heroin addicts living in London, and it's very kind of dark comedy. It's hard to watch at times. That baby scene still scares the hell out of me. Great acting. Robert Carlyle being a highlight as kind of this really kind of over the top, very volatile guy. Francis Begbie, really, really good in this. Great cast, like I said. kind of humour where it's kind of like breakout movie role. This is kind of the film that kind of put him on the map for quite a lot of films in his future. But yeah, really, really fun. It's a kind of fun movie. It's funny at times. It's very kind of it's like devastating at times. It's very dark. It's not just dark comedy, but it's dark in general. But yeah, really well acted, very well directed by Danny Boyle. Again, this is the film that kind of put Danny Boyle on the map as well. He did Shallow Grave before this, but this is the film that kind of really made people stand up to attention about this for this director. Again, very well deserved. But yeah, if you haven't seen the film, if you haven't seen it, why haven't you seen it? You need to see it. It's not going to be for everyone, I will admit that, as quite a few of these films are, but I really liked it, and yeah, it's one of the kind of the seminal kind of British films of the 90s. It was like slap bang in the middle of kind of like Brit pop and stuff, which is a kind of obviously kind of again quite a lot of kind of British things kind of came to the fore, and this was kind of like the big movie of kind of the 90s, and it kind of changed the way kind of British films were made in the future. But yeah, really, really good film, and I highly recommend it. So that is Trainspotting. And the next thing that I watched, again I think last week sometime, is a film that I wouldn't usually watch, but I'm a fan of documentaries. Even if the documentary is about things that I'm not that bothered about, I will watch them, and this is one of them. I'm not a big football fan, and this is The Class of '92, which basically it's like a documentary about it's like a group of football players, like I say from the you can see on the front there, basically those players are kind of how they kind of went from kind of the junior league to kind of the Manchester United football team. I thought it was more kind of focused on kind of the World Cup, but it wasn't at all. Obviously it's a different football team, but they did have some of the same players. Again, I'm not going to kind of say I'm not a big fan of football. I don't like watching it. I don't really like hearing about it. But this was a pretty good documentary. Nothing kind of you haven't really. It's pretty kind of straight down the line documentary, like talking heads and kind of different interviews with different kind of people that were involved in the time, which is basically kind of what a documentary is really. There's nothing kind of like too different about it. You've got like clips of like a reunion kind of between all the players and stuff. But it's a good little documentary. It's quite long. It is 2 hours. I was never really bored with it, but again, I did kind of venture out doing other things while it was playing, so I wasn't always kind of concentrating on the film. But I still really liked it. This is the extended edition. It was kind of a DVD only at first, but then they kind of re-released it with kind of extra footage, which is mainly most of the extra footage is an interview with Alex Ferguson. Whether they kind of incorporate it back into the film, whether they kind of cut it out and put it back in, I don't know, or it's just like the deleted scenes. I'm not quite sure. There aren't any deleted scenes. I'm guessing I am right. They're just kind of like obviously the kind of the interview stuff that are spliced out of the kind of the actual film they put back into this extended edition. Quite how that kind of equates to nearly half an hour. I'm not quite sure because I don't think it was that much longer. But yeah, it comes with a really nice slipcover, and there's the case and the case inside. So yeah, even if you're not a fan of football, obviously if you are a fan of football, it will kind of mean more to you, and you will enjoy it a lot more. But for me, as a documentary, it was quite good. Again, it's pretty formulaic, but I quite liked it. Not much more to say really. I did watch a bit of kind of football in the 90s. I watched their match against Bayern Munich, kind of live on. I think it was live on TV basically. But yeah, it's a good little film. Like I say, nothing too different, but it's quite good. So it's The Class of '92. And the last Blu-ray I watched, and I finally finished this this box set. I kind of watched the first three seasons, then I kind of like trailed off watching other stuff. But I finally finished it. I can start watching other stuff now, and that is The Wire. I basically kind of binge watched about like over half of season 4 and the whole of season 5 in 2 days, which to be honest is the best way to do it really. And I mean, what more can I say that hasn't already been said about this show? One of the best shows on TV in TV history, bar none. The main thing that I love about this TV show, is for the most part, at least in kind of seasons 1 to 3, for the most part, and it's kind of the same as kind of other kind of cop shows and stuff, is that the good guys don't know what the bad guys are doing, let me start again. The good guys don't know what the bad guys are doing, but the bad guys don't know what the good guys are doing. And only us, as the audience, get both sides of the story. So, like, only we know what each person... only we know what each side is doing, but each side don't know what the other side are doing, which I really, really love. It's like we as the audience kind of are the only people who know what each kind of side is doing. It works more kind of I'd say the first 3 seasons. Season 4 and 5 not so much. It's just kind of more kind of advancing the story of kind of what was set up in the first 3 seasons. Not the biggest fan of season 5. It's just one of those. I mean, The Wire in general is one of those shows that I don't always understand, but I can still kind of like watch it and enjoy it. Season 5 not as much, because it is so complicated. There's like this storyline with McNulty kind of like cultivating this serial killer that plays on homeless guys. And then he's kind of Lester Freeman gets in on it, and it's not exactly ethical kind of stuff. And kind of like Bunky's like the guy who's saying like why are you doing this shit? You shouldn't be doing this stuff, and you're going to get caught and stuff like that. Which is kind of good to get the kind of a different side to the story. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Like I say, binge watched. It's best to kind of like. It's kind of a few shows that I would watch like at least once a year. There'd be this, Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Lost, maybe Fringe and stuff like that. And this is one of those shows I can just kind of. It is best to kind of invest your time in it. But to someone who doesn't have as much time, it may not be as easy to do. But I could watch this just if I had like a week and I had nothing else to do. I could just watch through the whole show like non-stop and just enjoy it for what it is, which is just a really amazingly good kind of cop show, based in Baltimore. Obviously, David Simon lived in Baltimore, and also there was his first kind of mini series called The Corner was based in there as well, which kind of focused more on kind of like the drug user side of it as well. Favourite character is definitely got to be Bubbles. I love his character arc, especially in kind of like seasons 4 and 5. Really, really good. Andre Royo, amazing actor. I cried more on one occasion during his storyline in season 5, and I really, really loved it. Yeah, like I said, I can't really say anything else that hasn't already been said. Amazing show. Definitely give it a go if you haven't seen it already. It does take a while to kind of to get into it. I'd say kind of halfway through season 1 maybe, but I'd say stick with it and you'll definitely enjoy it for what it is, which is amazingly good cop show. So yeah, that is The Wire, and that is the last Blu-ray I watched this past couple of weeks. And just the last title is actually something I watched on Netflix, and it is a found footage film, but a very, very good one called Creep. And basically it stars Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce, as basically the storyline is Patrick Bryce plays this guy who was also the director, by the way, and co-writer, plays this guy who answers a ad on Craigslist from Mark Duplass. So basically he is hired to kind of make a video, like a videography of his last days. Basically he said he has terminal cancer and wants to make kind of a video to his unborn son, kind of showing what it was like when he was alive and stuff like that. Well, that's what he tells him, but he finds out there's a bit of an ulterior motive behind it. I'm not going to give anything away because it's best to go into this blind. There's a few twists along the way. I really, really liked it. It's one of those films that I knew about kind of like months ago. I mean, it used to, kind of the working title was Peach Fuzz, which, to be fair, is not a good a title because the word Peach Fuzz is quite integral to the plot. So I think like Duplass said that he didn't want to kind of he didn't want people to kind of like start thinking about what Peach Fuzz would mean. He wants to kind of like concentrate on the story. The story is very, very good. It's very, very short as well. It's not even an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, I really liked it. Mark Duplass, he really kind of really shows kind of how creepy he can be, and how kind of different roles he can have, because he's mainly known for kind of like fluffy kind of character comedy pieces like Safety Not Guaranteed and My Sister's Sister and stuff like that. But it's really it's well made. It's not great quality, but it's basically just kind of two guys with a camera, one guy playing this really kind of weird guy. I actually, if you want to kind of just read my thoughts, this was all featured on my Letterboxd. I've wrote a review for this as well. Yeah, and I said basically, I wouldn't be surprised if he was kind of like completely improvised, kind of basically two guys with a camera. But it's really effective though. I mean, found footage films. I'm not going to go into kind of a rant about this. But basically, they're not very good, are they? They just kind of use it as a kind of basically a way to make cheap movies so they can get more more money basically. But this one is not really. It didn't really make much money anyway, so you can't really think. I mean, it's on Netflix. You can also rent it on iTunes, I believe, in the US, possibly in the UK, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it's straight there, right on the kind of the front page of Netflix. Just search for Creep, you'll find it, which is the way a search works, to be quite honest. But anyway. But yeah, I really liked it. It's not a perfect film. The kind of unanswered questions, but apparently they are planning at least one sequel, possibly two. So hopefully, kind of those questions will be answered in kind of subsequent parts. But yeah, it moves at a brisk pace. It's quite scary at times. There's a bit near the end that it does rely on jump scares a little bit too much. So kind of a couple of jump scares that aren't really needed, but it kind of fleshes out the character a bit more, and which I quite like. Any chance to kind of give a bit of character development is good, because you need a bit of that. You can't just have like scares with characters you just hate, because you just kind of can't wait to see them killed off. The ending I did not see coming whatsoever. Again, it does kind of open itself up to a sequel or two. I mean, they are planning to do 2 sequels. Whether they actually will, I don't know. They are kind of like actively. What is it? Duplass said that they were actively kind of like they're not going to give up on it. Basically, they are kind of eventually, hopefully, going to make it. But I hope they do. It's a really effective little film. Again, it shows Duplass is kind of his best, but also his very much kind of his different side. Really, like I say, he's more kind of comedy guy, but there is some comedy in it, but it's more kind of. And I wouldn't really call it a horror film either. It's more kind of like a thriller, I guess. But yeah, obviously, if you're watching and you hate it, that's absolutely fine. But I really liked it. I gave it at least 8 out of 10. Maybe even I was going to actually watch it again, but I haven't actually done so far. But yeah, I say definitely give it a go. Really good film, quite scary at times, very creepy, kind of all the time really, and yeah, very much enjoyed it. So that was Creep, and that was this week's What I Watched video. So like I said before, I have watched like the odd episode in Betweeners and stuff like that on Netflix, but obviously I'm not going to kind of say that, it's kind of pointless. But maybe there are a few other things I have watched, but I just can't quite remember, because like I said, I haven't done one of these videos for a few weeks now. But yeah, that was this week's What I've Watched video. So again, whether I'll do this every week, might do it every 2 weeks thinking about it, because to be honest, I don't watch a load of stuff, at least not movies. I'm not like one of those people that kind of like watches like 2 movies every day. I can just kind of maybe like one every like 2 days or something. But I may watch quite a lot of TV sometimes. It's just one of those things that I can just kind of like sit down and watch and kind of invest myself in. But yeah, really liked all the stuff that I watched. There really isn't anything, any kind of weak link that I've watched that I didn't really like, at least in some kind of way. Obviously I watched a few films, but those you'll find on my Letterboxd account. Shameless plug. But yeah, that'll about do for this video, I think. So yeah, thanks as always for watching. Have a great day.